for fuck's sake, we are back. This is Dr. Robert Watson. I know him as Bob. We've been friends for probably 20 years now because we started working at Renown. When did you get there?
99.
Okay, so I was shortly after you.
Back when it was Washoe Medical Center.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I know, because I got there in 2003 and it was still Washoe. Yeah, and you were a general surgeon at that time.
Right.
Taking trauma call, which is where we got to know each other from taking care of broken people as they came in.
General surgery, trauma, and trauma critical care.
Yeah. So all the broken people, all the acute stuff that used to come in. And you did the regular stuff too, gallbladders and appendicitis and all that kind of business as well. Yeah. And you were always one of my favorite consultants because you have such a just quiet demeanor. You never gave any pushback. You always did the right thing.
I like to think that I'm kind of like that anyway, but having grown up in the ER, before I got to medical school, I was an orderly.
That's right.
I first just pushed patients around the hospital, delivering them to the different departments. And then I moved into the ER where I worked there for a couple of years before getting into medical school.
So were you a tech at that time?
I was, I stocked, and then if a trauma came in, I was responsible for being back there to help and lend a hand. And for a while, I did stuff like collect belongings and put in Foleys and get EKGs and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Just kind of learned the ropes, got to fly in care flight a few times, which was, a hoot.
So going to pick up patients from the nether regions of the wild.
Like we need another hand. We need a body. So I get to go on usually the fixed wing. The helicopter always seemed to be adequately staffed.
Okay. So you really worked yourself up from the bottom.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
And part of it was, I'd see when other physicians would come to the emergency department and give the ER docs grief. There would just seem to be like, can't we all get along kind of thing, so I refused to be one of those people. I wanted, you got to see the docs that worked well with people, and the patients always did better, and that of course is the ultimate goal, is to make sure the patient is, cared for well. So I just paid attention and took notes.
Yeah. Well, that explains a lot about your demeanor and how you answered the calls and answered your pager and came down and collaborated with everyone, because you knew what it was like on the other side.
Yeah.
So you never wanted to be an emergency physician, though?
Actually, I did. Yeah. All through medical school, I wanted to be an ER doc. And it wasn't until I got I worked for Myron Gomez. I worked in the trauma department.
Okay.
And when I was, let's see, I got started in medical school, and the first break I had, I went back and worked in the trauma office and hung around Myron for a little bit. And then I got into medical school, and whenever I'd go hang around the hospital, and certainly during clinicals, Myron especially would say, you need to be a surgeon. You need to be a surgeon. And I said, I don't want to be a surgeon. You guys work too hard. And he said, you don't have to work as hard as I do. But that's not true at all. You don't have a choice. You can't say, no, I don't want that case.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to come in. So you're stuck working your tail off. And it wasn't the lifestyle that I wanted. I've always been a life-work balance kind of guy. I was never the consummate surgeon, So within 5 years of being out in the real world and doing surgery and trauma and crazy hours and never getting a night's sleep, and basically 3 out of 4 weekends were in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Never got to see my family. I was looking for a way out.
Yeah.
And so for the next, I was in surgery for 19 years, and essentially for 14 of those years, I was looking for a way out. But when you're trained for one thing and you're making a good living doing it, it's very hard and very scary to even think about leaving and doing something else.
So was it kind of, you had set your life up on the financials that a surgeon has?
Fortunately, no. I was never financially driven. In fact, my partners would always give me grief because I would work, but I was lousy at all the paperwork. I was lousy at the paperwork. And so I left a lot of money on the table, which of course frustrated my partners. But I made, you make good. I mean, I'm not boasting about. I mean, you make a good living, and I didn't need, or I'm just not a spender. I've always driven conservative cars and never bought boats or had to take flying lessons or anything like that. For me, it was a new mountain bike.
Right. Yeah.
So
fun stuff, but not crazy stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I remember running into you and your wife after you had just bought that little camper trailer, the R-Pod, and it was so cute. And I was thinking, like, that's something I would buy, and he makes a lot more money than I do. But yeah, it was kind of, and then so we had been working together and had been friendly for years when I found out that we had a mutual friend together, Barry. And so then I was up visiting Barry at his cabin, and he's like, "Oh, that's Bob's property over there." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" Then I think the next day you guys showed up and gave us a tour and everything. And that was so funny, that overlap.
Do you know how far Barry and I go back?
Wasn't he your boss when you were pushing patients?
When I left Vegas and I moved to Reno to pursue medicine, I left engineering and figured out that was not my thing. I only went into engineering. I wanted to go into medicine, but I didn't want to go to school forever. I wanted to do what I wanted to do and get out and start making a living. But me and advanced calculus and imaginary numbers of electronics, we didn't get along. So I figured, you know what? I just dropped everything, picked up 2 more jobs to make enough money, moved to Reno, and I worked in a restaurant for about 2 weeks until I got in the hospital. And Barry O'Sullivan was my boss. And then Barry became my landlord.
Yes.
So we had a good foundation. He invited us up to his place like he did yours.
Yeah.
And that's where we got the idea. Because I'd been looking for a kind of a vacation place to build. And of course, I looked at Tahoe and I looked at Donner. But I also listened in the surgeon's lounge. And I listened to all the docs that already had places up there talk about how expensive it was. And they didn't get to use it often enough to justify it. And I took notes again. And so that's how we ended up building up at Bucks Lake.
Yeah. And you got a great place up there. I mean, I haven't seen the completely finished product, but
you haven't.
No, I think you guys, it was close. I mean, the deck was done, and I think there were just little things that you were still working on when I was up there. But now you're living a life where you can actually go there. Yeah. How often do you guys get out?
On a good month, we'll be up there 3 out of 4 weekends. It's more like 2, maybe 1.75 on average.
Okay.
This also depends on the season.
Uh-huh.
But it's, as you know, it's a snowmobile recreation area. The only way to get there during the winter is to snowmobile.
Right.
And we're up there. We were up there a lot more when the whole family, when I had kids, because there's a lot, there's more reason to go up there. Now when it's just my wife and I, it's just a lot of the fun, a lot of the excitement, the joviality isn't there. So we go a little less often. We go other places now instead of always to the cabin.
But you're not in the hospital those 3 out of 4 weekends.
Right. Yeah. Well, it didn't take me long to figure out that trauma was, I got out of trauma after about 6.5 years and never looked back. Just like when I got out of surgery, I never looked back.
But trauma's the sexy, interesting stuff.
Well, and I thought so, and I went to a well-respected trauma center for that type of training. But once you kind of learn, I'm the kind of guy where I love the learning process. But once I've been in it for a while, I kind of get bored. Functional medicine, however, is different because you can never understand all the physiology necessary. The more you know, the better the doc you can be. So I just don't tire of learning functional medicine.
That is a beautiful place for you to be then. And I feel like the science there's plenty of old science, but there's so much new stuff coming out, and the research is just new and fresh and interesting, and more connections between more systems that we didn't even know about when we were in medical school. Yeah. So yeah, that's fascinating. But it took you a long time to get out from underneath that surgery moniker.
Yeah. I have a friend, you know Bob Dalrymple?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we would go to dinner and we would plan and scheme and connive and just come up with plans for, this and that and how to get out. And eventually got to a point where I figured, all right, I've got to get out. I've got to do something. So I was going to go back to school for naturopathy up at Bastyr University in Oregon. And in researching that, I learned about functional medicine, which I had never heard of before. And so many people haven't. But when I learned that functional medicine was getting to the root cause of why people are sick instead of just throwing pills and procedures and everything, that was for me. And that's what I always enjoyed. It was my own personal goal to never have to take a pharmaceutical. And I wanted to be one of those 80-year-old codgers passing to young people going up Mount Rose or something, So I studied how to be healthy for myself and for my family. And when I found that there was a way to apply that to, my clientele, then it was a no-brainer. And I went back to school for functional medicine and never looked back.
That is fantastic.
Yeah. So I have my own space, my own hours, my own clients. I'm in heaven.
So what are their concerns when they find you? Like, what are their complaints?
A lot of gut issues, a lot of hormone issues, a lot of people that just sadly have been to doc. And because, you know what it's like in the conventional model, you got to, what do they call it? Churn and burn or burn and churn. You got to crank through patients.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an insurance model and insurance companies telling you what you can and can't do. And patients not really getting better, so I see a lot of those people. And that's kind of fun, when somebody's been struggling with an issue for 4 or 5 years and, in 2-3 months, you've got them turned around. That's really fun. That's rewarding. At first, as a surgeon, you get immediate gratification.
That's right.
You fix them, they come back to see you a week later, their pain's gone, their issue is solved, and they just have to finish the wound healing. So you saw the results of what you did. When I first started medicine, functional medicine, it was like, I didn't have that immediate reward because, chronic issues, it's not like an appendicitis. So we fix it and a week later, they're all healed up and back to work.
Right.
These chronic issues take weeks often to turn around. And so that delayed gratification, that wondering if what I was doing was really effective, just chewed at me for quite a while. But now I have faith. I've done it long enough that for the most part, when you're doing something that they're going to come around, you're going to see the results.
So you've learned to have patience? What's that like? Because I just keep running out of the tiny squeeze out of the tube that I got because I have no patience.
Well, I would have to say that, yes, I've gained a lot more patience than I had, but I'm still kind of an impatient guy. My wife will tell you.
Okay. So then you end up seeing patients for months to try to keep up with what's going on with them.
Yeah, when I first started, I would see them just like, see them, say, okay, come back in a month, come back in 2 months. And that just didn't work. Patients would or wouldn't come back based on their finances, or they get wrapped up in something. So after a while, I figured that something's got to change. So I hired a health coach and nutritionist because if I lay out a plan, but the patient goes home and they go, hey, I don't know what to do with this. I don't know how to build this into my life so that it works for me. So I hired a health coach and nutritionist. And so after I developed the plan, then they help the patient work it into their lives and understand the details. That was a big step forward. And then we created it's basically a subscription model where I know most issues take, right around, I'm going to have most issues corrected in about 6 months.
Okay.
Most of them. So we start with 6-month commitment. And after that, they can drop off and go somewhere else, or a lot of them just stick with me for, keeping them on the straight and narrow. And check their labs and they'll say, okay, this is kind of deviating. We need to do this, But 6-month program has made a huge difference. So we see a lot more satisfaction, a lot more positive results.
Yeah, I'm sure that really assists with compliance too, because people know what they're getting into.
Yep.
Like, okay, I'm making a commitment for 6 months so that I can get better because I've felt like garbage for years now.
Yeah, and that's worked well. So we just see them every month and more often if we need to. It's worked great.
Mm-hmm. So GI issues, like, are you talking about weight, cramping, diarrhea? Like, what sorts of things are they coming to you for?
A lot of it's just bloating, discomfort, constipation, diarrhea, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, dysbiosis, those types of issues. A lot of that. A lot of people come in believing that their thyroid is dysfunctional. It's kind of if you feel lousy, blame the thyroid. It's one of those things. If you feel lousy, blame your hormones. And a lot of it's true, but a lot of it, they're missing the mark. Even Hippocrates, you may have heard Hippocrates said all disease starts in the gut. Way back then, he was, kind of on top of things. And of course, we know not all disease starts in the gut, but a lot of it does.
Oh my gosh, so much. It's bananas what is good. Why does our microbiome, the stuff that we're supposed to live symbiotically with in there, why is that not working for anybody now? Why do you think?
I blame it on our local environment. Increased stress. If you're stressed, your microbiome is going to change in like 24 hours. If you change your diet, it's going to change rapidly, but we're exposing it to toxins and, dyes and emulsifiers and all kinds of things that we did not evolve to tolerate. And so now with all these pressures that our system doesn't know how to handle, it's no wonder we're seeing more disease. So a lot of what I do is just taking people back to like what I call a Paleolithic time. I tell people, if you ever hear something new, or there's a new fad that you're questioning whether or not it's right for you, I tell people, first thing, think about how Jesus would have lived. Did he process food, or did he eat food the way it came from the ground? Did they eat animals raised on a concentrated feeding operation?
Right.
Or did they eat animals, eating what they evolved to eat? Did they go to bed when it got dark and woke up when the sun came up? Did they deal with chronic stress? Did they deal with the toxic soup that we live in these days?
All the antibiotics that we put in their food and their feed. Yeah. I think that line, straight through us from the animals and the produce is just really hurting us big time.
And then you consider that the food doesn't have the nutritional content that it did just 50, 60 years ago.
So then we're taking all the supplements so that we can get all of that back straight. But we don't actually know what we're supposed to be supplementing because who knows what we're deficient in.
Yeah. Well, you can do some of that testing. I don't test, like nutrient testing is expensive. So kind of like I have what I call foundational supplements. And I'll just start everybody off on when I started off, I saw these nutritional deficiencies all the time. And so I have what I call foundational supplements, and pretty much all my clients go on those. It's just like a multivitamin mineral supplement with special attention to the mitochondria, omega-3s, magnesium, and then vitamin D with K2. And so that's where everybody starts.
Yeah, the vitamin D, especially for those of us in the high desert. Like my mantra is we're all deficient because if the sun's out and it's warm, then you need to wear sunscreen. If the sun's out and it's cold, then you're covered in clothes. We have, 320 days of sun, but hardly any of them are actually usable for vitamin D.
Yeah.
So you're kind of SOL.
That's one element that I do test for on everybody. And unless they're supplementing, I never see somebody who's got good levels. And that's the foundational supplement. Yeah,
all our cells need that. Everybody. So you had a lot of satisfied customers then.
Yeah, I don't want to pat myself on the back, but we
Go
do
ahead.
pretty well. Yeah. I won't say we satisfy everybody. That would be boastful or wrong, I'm sure. Nobody comes to you and say, you suck, I didn't get anything from what you did for me. So, but we get a lot of nice letters back, and nice reviews. So we seem to be doing something right. I think a lot of it's just the fact that I sit across the desk from them for a minimum of a half hour every visit, and oftentimes over an hour. You don't get that with your doctor these days. And so just that personal connection and knowing that we care, that, that we're invested in them, that's huge. You just want to know that who you're going to see is genuinely cares that you get better.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it.
I feel like that's so huge. And that, I mean, you got into medicine a little bit before I did, but we're pretty much on the same path. That has just dwindled and dwindled and dwindled. I mean, there's, like you talk about the churn and burn. I mean, Medicare basically dictates 15-minute appointments, but that does not include 15 minutes with the patient and the physician. That's like you're in the room for 15 minutes and someone's taking your vital signs and then they leave, and then somebody else comes in and, you know, checks your cards and your wallet, and then they leave, and then the physician comes in for 6, 7, maybe 8 minutes, and then they leave, and then somebody else comes in and gets your paperwork and your prescriptions and your whatever, and then you leave. So it's 15 minutes, but it's not. And the physician's doing like tons of documentation out there and ordering things and fighting with insurance and fighting with pharmacies and all this other kind of stuff. And so your 15-minute appointment is not 15 minutes of face-to-face.
Right.
And so it's really hard. And the providers suffer too, you know.
Absolutely.
Like I didn't really feel like it was a rare day in the emergency department that I could pull up a chair and really talk to people. It was very unusual, and it was so unsatisfying.
Well, especially in an emergency department. Yeah, and the clients don't see all that. I call them clients now. The patients don't see all that behind the scenes stuff, you know, reading x-rays, reviewing labs, talking to referring docs, you know, doing the social aspects of care. They don't see any of that. You know? I mean, I'm sure they know some of it's happening, but they're focused on, and I only saw the doctor for 5 minutes.
Yeah. And I tried to have so much patience for that. But again, I wasn't born with a whole lot of that to begin with. But also by the time you get back in there, the patients are ticked, rightly so. The nurse has been harping on you. The tech is, you know, tracking you down and stuff. And so by the time you make it back in there to tell them, like, well, I had to go to radiology and tell them to read the thing, and then that's not what was real, and so we needed to change the report, and then I called a consultant, and, you know, like, I've done 28 minutes worth of work. It's just been, you're on the other side of the curtain and you have no idea, and I have 11 other patients that I'm doing the same thing for, and I didn't have time to come tell you.
Yeah.
And none of that's fair. Like the whole none of it's fair. So I'm super excited to, I mean, I spent like 2 solid hours just talking to patients today. Just today.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't amass that in a week and a half of working in the emergency department total. Like, it would be 2 minutes here, 4 minutes here. God forbid you actually spend 2 hours with me, because that means you probably died multiple times. Like, that's the only reason why.
Yeah.
You know, you're probably having really painful procedures and shit is going sideways if you are seeing me for 2 hours.
Yeah, you don't want to see your ER doc that long.
No, that should be a very, very brief interaction. And so it's so much more fulfilling. And I think my patients really enjoy it too, because there's no hurry, there's no hustle, there's no like, hey, I just need to, like, before I hated interrupting people. But I would have to just cut people off. Like, if they were wandering, you know, I'm like, nope, I don't have time for that. Let's get back to the point. And none of that feels good. It's so counterproductive. Because talk about causing stress. Now both of us are stressed. Everyone in the room is stressed.
Yeah.
So,
which is doing no one any good.
No. I actually went to my own functional medicine person. Shout out to Katie. After, I mean, seriously, it's probably been 15 years of horrible GI stuff going on, and, you know, attribute it to this, that, and the other thing, and, you know, waste your money on all sorts of things, and trying to heal myself, and, you know, going to the GI doctor, going to my PCP, going to my allergist, going to the dermatologist. I almost had to go on disability because my hands were literally rotting off. And we thought it was atopic eczema. And so, like, I had to have the hospital order me special gloves because I thought it was the gloves, and it clearly wasn't the gloves. So then we went through 3 or 4 iterations of gloves that I had to carry around with me because I couldn't use the stuff that they stocked the department with. And then I thought maybe it was the hand sanitizer. And you know how often we do that in the emergency department. So then I bought my own with my own money and carried that around. Like it was just ridiculous. But they were just claws. Like I had splits on both sides of all of my knuckles, and I couldn't sleep because it would just burn and sting. And if I moved my hands, they'd split open and start bleeding. And so they were kind of chronically infected. And here I am washing them and hand sign it. Like it was just awful for years. And I'm like, I can't keep going like this. And then we do like a big old steroid burst, you know, just to get my hands under control. That's not good for any other part of your body. And I'm diabetic. So my sugars would just whoosh, you know, and my guts would feel horrible. But my hands would be better. And we'd wait for like 18 months and then I'd have to do it again.
And the steroids have their consequences.
I felt amazing. I love being on steroids.
Yeah.
They're so bad for you. But I'm one of those people who feels like super great when I take steroids. I don't get the jitters. I don't get the headaches, the nausea, any of that. I'm like superwoman.
But as you know, and unfortunately, a lot of patients don't understand. Like I think a lot of patients get the idea that we know everything and the doctor just has to know what's out there to fix them. And it's not like that. I mean, there's so much that we don't know. And like trying to figure out a problem like that, like what you've gone through is try this. And so that's the nice thing about having, 6 months just to start with, to work with people, is you have time to try this. And if that doesn't work, you course correct. And eventually get it figured out. Not always, but
yeah.
And we don't make things go away. Like, are your hands completely better? Or are they just, they're
much better.
They're better, but not perfect.
They're better, but not perfect. And it was actually stopping dairy and eggs. What? I'm sorry. And I went back to my dermatologist, who's a friend of mine. We went to med school together, and I was like, Alan, this is what happened. And he's like, no. Well,
yes.
I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
And I said the same thing to my allergist. And she's like, we tested for all of that. And I said, we did. But with trial and error, I realized I don't tolerate cow dairy or eggs. I can eat goat and sheep. And she's like, the difference in genetics between those animals is like less than 1%. And I was like, well, there's something in
it's the structure of the protein.
Cattle. I'm like, goat cheese all day long.
Yeah.
Sheep cheese, totally fine. Do not cook anything I eat in a pat of cow butter.
And there's a significant fraction of the population that has these food sensitivities, and they are usually to the same, 5 to 8 foods: gluten, dairy, corn, soy, eggs, crustaceans, fish, and tree nuts. And so we start most of our clients just by eliminating those. And a lot of people say, no, I don't have any food issues, but they're performing here. Then you put them through an elimination diet, which is the gold standard, not testing. And then all of a sudden they perform here and they go, oh, I never knew.
Yeah.
My first health coach, who was in her early 50s, had no idea that she was sensitive to eggs until she went through an elimination diet, in her 6th decade of life, and figured out, oh, I can't eat eggs.
Yeah. It was a really sad realization. But it took me a decade and a half to get there. And actually, the only reason I even tried that was because my boyfriend at the time was lactose intolerant, and he was having some work done on his house. And so he stayed with me for 3 days. And as the dutiful girlfriend, I got him some almond milk. So then I wasn't having my usual 19 cents an ounce, kefir, Greek yogurt. I was spending tons of money on the greatest probiotic and prebiotic stuff because my guts were rotting out of my body. And so I ate with him and had almond milk, and I'm like, not shitting myself after breakfast. That's weird. And so he left, and I went back to my super high-end kefir stuff, feeling horrible. And so then I started playing with lactose-free stuff, but that wasn't getting it because it wasn't lactose. Lactose isn't my problem because goat and sheep milk totally has a ton of lactose in it. That's not my problem. And so then I cut out dairy, but I didn't because it's in so many things and I wasn't analyzing and all this kind of stuff. And so I was still getting a lot of milk, but intermittently. And so I didn't know what was going on. And I was still eating eggs because I was only concentrated on the milk. So it was like herky jerky. I could tell things were different, but it didn't really have a pattern. And it wasn't until like I have two friends who have done this very heartily and gone completely elimination diet. One of them is a dietitian. They're like, when you're ready, we'll walk you through an elimination diet. I was like, I don't need that. Oh, and it wasn't like I was miserable. Everything was going wrong. The skin, the guts, the mood, like brain fog, like all that stuff. It was just terrible. So finally I'm like, fine, I'll do the elimination diet. How do we do this? And they basically said most of what you just said. And I did like 2 weeks of just making my own basically chicken and vegetable soup to just like stop everything. Mm-hmm. And it was definitely better. So I'm like, okay, it's definitely something I'm ingesting. And then, adding back like a pat of butter killed me. It's like, you've got to be kidding me.
That's a tricky thing about there's allergies. Those are pretty obvious. People can figure those out. Then there's intolerances. You eat lactose, you're in the bathroom. But the sensitivities are tricky because they don't always manifest as gut symptoms. They can manifest as mood changes, fatigue, low back pain, joint swelling. You don't know what or how it's going to manifest. So people don't necessarily associate it with their food, or other exposures. Sensitivities are tough.
Well, and it's funky because just because you eat something at lunch doesn't mean you're going to get sick before dinner.
Right.
Like lunch on Tuesday might come back to bite you Wednesday night. And so then you're thinking Wednesday dinner was the problem and you're trying to backtrack. I mean, I was keeping a journal for a while and I'm like, I have no idea what is happening right now. This is useless. And it was for a variety of reasons because it was sensitivities. I think my dairy and egg stuff is actually an allergy. But because there's so much of that in everything, and I like to eat out, I don't know, like, is that ciabatta bread? Does that have eggs in it? Does the pasta have, like, what is going on? So incredibly frustrating. And like weird as a physician, I'm like, there's no way I can't figure this out with the people that I know, right?
Yeah, it's not straightforward at all.
It's not straightforward, and I am stubborn. Woo! There was a point where I went to one of my friends, and I just asked her, I'm like, how did you just cut it all out? How did you stop eating stuff that you knew was going to hurt you? And she's like, you get to the point where it's worth it. It will never be worth it. Sorry, Danielle, Battleborn Health. It gets to the point where you finally feel good enough on the days that you feel good that you don't want to ruin it.
Yeah.
So then it's like, yeah, it's true.
My wife, bless her heart, she's got a sensitivity to gluten. Her joints will swell up and she'll get puffy fingers, and it makes the next day in the gym really tough for her. Mm-hmm. But she also loves pizza. When we went to Croatia, every single day she had pizza. But you can get away with stuff in Europe that you can't get away with.
It's so true.
But everyone's got their threshold, and occasionally she'll say, you know what, damn the joint swelling, I'm gonna have some pizza.
Yeah.
So everyone's got their threshold, and of course it depends on the consequences too. If it's just a little joint swelling for a day or two, well, you tolerate that once in a while. But if it totally throws your bowels out of whack for a week, that's a different issue.
Yeah, it was if I get poisoned or I cheat, it's 2 or 3 days of gut stuff. And then I think it's eggs. My hands will start splitting open again. And that's a week, to heal that up. And it stings and it burns and it bleeds and,
Yeah.
And so
So where are you getting your choline these days?
My choline?
Yeah.
Tell me about my choline.
So choline, eggs are high in choline. which, as you're aware, of acetylcholine,
Mhm.
so it helps form your neurotransmitters. So
Those
you
are
need to
good
find your
things.
choline from other sources. Fish
I'm
is a
not.
good.
Oh, I do a lot of fish.
Okay, there you go.
I do a lot of fish. Yeah, I do a lot of like tuna. I love sardines. I'm the weirdo who does that.
Oh, I do too.
So
Eat them right out of the can.
yeah.
High in calcium, high in omega-3s, and low in toxins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the snacks that my dad and I used to have. I can't do it on the saltines anymore because of the gluten, but
Yeah.
that used to be the jam. Is open up a can of sardines and split a slide of crackers.
I used to do it in the office, but you can't talk to anybody for a good stretch of time afterwards. Or it's like in the bathroom brushing your teeth for 10 minutes and then gum or something, because they'll pollute you for a while.
Yeah, they are greasy. Yeah, there was a girl that I went to elementary school with, and she and I still remember that she and I were the ones who would bring sardines. She's Swedish, so I think that's where hers came from. I don't know what my dad's story was. I don't know why he was in love with sardines, but my mom likes them too. But yeah, that was just one of the cheap and easy, on the go lunch things.
Yeah.
But we took some heat for it. The kids were like, "Oh my God, you're disgusting."
Yeah, they're a little off-putting. You open the can, and you're looking at all these little complete headless dead fish. Yeah. It took me a while to kind of get used to the idea. It was the nutritional, component that lured me in. But once you start eating them, they're not that. Well, obviously, we think they're tasty.
I definitely think they're tasty. I understand that they smell.
Yeah.
They do. I get it. Anchovies? Same thing?
Not as big of a fan for anchovies. I mean, I'll eat them. I like the fishiness used to really put me off. Like anchovies on a pizza, forget it. But now, if it's like in a good Caesar or, just enough to tweak the flavor or something, then I appreciate them. But I don't eat them straight out of the jar.
And you're getting your choline.
Yeah.
I love that. I love nerdy talk. It's so fun.
Yeah, I'm very much a nerd these days.
That's great though. Like that's what we need. That's what people need. So yeah, when I get in over my head for stuff, I'm gonna be sending people to you.
We just collaborate on the phone.
We can.
We were in Mexico, and it was one of those lay around vacations, which I'm not very good at. But we went with our kids, and it was one of those all inclusives. So I'm laying on the beach. I'm sitting on the beach in a chair, and I'm reading research papers. And my wife comes up and she goes, "I thought you said you were going to relax, that you weren't going to work all vacation." I said, "I'm not working." She goes, "What is that?" I said, "This is recreation." So I am kind of a nerd.
You're that geek.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I'm just enjoying my brain a little bit.
Yeah.
No big deal. Uh-huh. Yeah, my last vacation, I roomed with one of the trauma nurse practitioners, who's one of my best friends. And there was a lot of nerd speak going on. And plus, we were also at a resort and we're just watching, like, he's going to do this and this is going to go down. What is her gait doing? Ooh, she has a bad hip. And we're just like analyzing all these people. And I have several friends where, especially gait analysis is big. Like, that guy needs to get his ACL done. Like, stat. Look at his,
That's a skill set I don't have.
I was an athletic trainer before I went to medical school.
Okay.
So with all the kinesiology and sports injuries and rehab and all that kind of stuff. And then after I did my emergency medicine residency, I did a fellowship in sports medicine. And I didn't really use that. I haven't used that in my career per se. But it definitely helps with all the ortho stuff that, and talking to the orthopedics and physical therapists and stuff like that for patient care.
You mentioned Danielle of Bandelboard.
Mm-hmm.
She's right next door to my office. So like when my patients start heading through their later 50s, 60s, I'll send them to her for flexibility, balance, and strength. Because that's the things we lose as we get older and precipitate injuries and falls and such. So I send them next door to her. And if they've got any kind of, structural issue, then go see Danielle.
Yeah. She's
Outside
one of
my
my gait
wheelhouse.
nerds too. Like
Yeah.
we will definitely be, and she does it to me actually. Where were we recently? And she's like, "Oh, you're starting to whip your right foot again. You need to start working." And I was like, "You know what? Just walk in front of me. Can we just agree for you to walk in front of me?" She's like, "That's not going to happen."
What is that about? Whip your foot.
I've had surgery on both of my ankles, and so I've lost the flexion in them. And so I can't walk over them like normal. They don't bend like that.
Uh-huh.
And so to compensate, my feet come out to the side.
Oh, okay.
And so she's like, "You need to, go back to stretching. You need to mob your ankles and all this kind." And I'm like, "Could you just walk in front of me, and then this wouldn't be a problem anymore because you're not staring at how I walk." So, and she's worked on, oh my God, every part of me. We're doing my shoulder right now because I just had surgery, but I've been seeing her off and on we've been friends for probably 18 years.
No kidding.
And she's worked on me for probably 12 of those years.
She's a joy. Anytime I walk over there, because I'll fill out the request for the flexibility balance, evaluation, and I walk it next door. And every time I'm in, she's got this big smile, and she's always, she's fun to say hi to. And I head right back over to my space. But
yeah, no, she's very bubbly, and she's so smart. She's so crazy smart. Yeah, because she starts talking to me since I'm a physician. Like I know what she's talking about, and at some point I'm all, "Nope, you're out in some field I don't have. Yeah. I don't know what's going on." Her partner Sarah, same thing. Like she was helping me do something with my scapular movement, and I said, "What do you have your fingers in right there?" And she gave me this like long diatribe about what the muscle was and why she was doing it and why it makes the scapula work. And I was like, "I don't know. You lost me like 38 words ago."
Sorry, I asked. Carry on.
Like, it hurts really bad, whatever you're doing. That's all I can tell you because I don't know. And I know almost all of the muscles of the body still, because as a physician, we get all that anatomical stuff plus prior to and after my training. But man, there are some things I'm like, what? Just how it moves with you. And if it's not moving correctly, then it messes everything else up. So I'm being told that all of my big muscles work really well and I'm really strong. And all my little stabilizer muscles don't do crap. And so I'm just tearing up my joints because I'm just lifting really heavy and doing all these big movements, and my little stabilizers are not able to do their jobs because they've been asleep for a really long time.
For as long as I've been sending my clients over there, she keeps saying, "You should come over. I'll do an evaluation on you." And it's like, I don't know. I think I'm scared of what she's going to find. So I've never actually gone over there for that evaluation, but I should. I know I should.
Be fearful. It's kind of amazing. Like, I think I'm doing things right. I just rocked that. She's like, "Oh my God, these 7 things are just not working." And then she'll give me the tiniest little exercise. She's like, "Just 6 inches up and down." And I was like, 6 inches? She's like, "That's too far. Limit what you're doing. Make it smaller. And I'm just shaking and sweating. And I'm like, I'm not even doing anything.
That's what I've had some injuries and I've had PT, and they always want you to do like little movements and not work very hard. And it's just counter to my mentality. I feel like you need to push it and hurt. And I guess that's not always the productive approach. Shows you what I know about that area of medicine.
Well, like I said, she's been working on me for over a decade, and I still, like, literally today, she's like, no, just bring it in like maybe 5 degrees and then up 3 inches, down 3 inches. And I'm like, she's like, no, but it's harder when I don't move. And she's like, I know, but don't do it. Oh, so even just doing that hurts right now because it's so tiny. It's ridiculous. Oh, well, she might actually know what she's talking about.
I suspect she does.
Yeah. That's why I go and see her. Why you'll go and see her someday when you are brave enough.
I feel like I need to train first, like flexibility. I joke that I'm as flexible as a 2x4, and I know I'm not that bad, Mike. I actually surprised my wife because I can put my palms on the floor.
Oh, that is impressive.
But I know I'm like lacking in a lot of other areas. So, but I'll go over there eventually.
She'll love to see you.
Yeah.
She's actually one of the elimination diet gurus who helped me through my discovery.
Yeah, it's an interesting combination. She's physical therapy and functional medicine.
Yeah, she does a lot, especially with women's health, aging, dietary stuff. That she is that nerd as well, big time. So she does a lot of extra education and teaching herself on all of that. So I'm sure that she and I will be doing some collaborations for stuff that I can provide for her, as far as prescriptions and testing and things that she can't do. But yeah, you guys share a similar brain in that way, for sure. Yeah.
She's been a good help.
We need it. I mean, the population is just getting older. The research is getting better, but it's still like we're so far behind on it. So tell me about, do you see people a lot with hormone disturbances and you treat them with that?
Yeah. Not like endocrinology stuff. You know, like recently I picked up a diabetes insipidus. How often do you see that?
Very rarely.
You know? But med school came back to me. And so I did all the diagnostic work. I initiated treatment, but I also, sent her off to see endo.
Mm-hmm.
So they, kind of picked up where I left off. But usually most of what I do is just like, perimenopausal hormone initiation and testosterone therapy, those kinds of things, that people benefit from as they're passing through those decades.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of that.
Okay. And are there any downsides to being treated for menopause and testosterone lack?
None that, not significantly. Depending on how you metabolize your hormones, you can send too much of it down like the 5-alpha reductase pathway, and you can wind up with some androgenizing symptoms and stuff. So, but we have sophisticated testing that can look at that. So at least like once a year, like my patients that have, this particular test that looks at how everything's being metabolized. For example, estrogens. Estrogens are metabolized down 3 different pathways. And if they're metabolized primarily or too much in that 4-hydroxy pathway, that can lead to DNA bit damage and raise your risk of cancer. And we don't look at that in conventional medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things that, we look at. We get a look at their, their cortisol patterns, and you can tell if they've been dealing with too much stress for too long, and if they're in the compensatory mode, or if their body has basically said, look, I've had enough, and just shuts everything down. Those people, those people when they walk through the door, they're just chronically fatigued. They can't find the energy to do anything.
I think I was that person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty sure.
Well, a lot of people associate stress, as you know, with psychosocial, but just your body being out of balance, out of whack is a stressor in itself. And most people don't think about that. Like simple, just poor sleep and glucose dysregulation elevates cortisol.
Mm-hmm.
And when that's a chronic issue, that erodes health. I tell my clients, look, we can check your labs. They can be beautiful time after time. But if you're dealing with that chronic stress, you'll be one of those guys who gets a heart attack at 58 instead of 88.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's one of the reasons I wanted out of surgery. I didn't realize how much stress I was enduring in surgery for like a year or two afterwards. And it just, because you get used to it. I tell the story about, you've probably heard the story that if you
boil a frog?
Yes.
Yes.
Drop a frog in hot water, he'll jump right up. But if you slowly heat the water, you can cook him. And people are enduring that kind of stress and they have no clue. But it's eating away at their health.
Yes, I think that happens really, really, really a lot.
Yeah.
Because you adapt and you change and you just kind of skip over the concerns, and I don't have time to address that right now. And maybe in 6 months I'll take a look at that. Or
and it's just made worse by our live to work mentality in this country that you don't see so much when you cross the pond.
Exactly. My son and I just went whitewater rafting last week, 2 weeks ago. And there was a family from the UK, and they were on one of their 4-week holidays to just basically go all over the West Coast, mostly California. 4 weeks.
Glorious.
Paid, no problem. Them and their 3 kids having a great time. Like, what would that be like? We don't do that.
Yeah, to our detriment.
To our detriment, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, it does not make sense what we have done to ourselves. Like, we're this major developed country with all of the things everywhere and all of the benefits you could possibly imagine, but we're not taking care of ourselves.
Yeah, we're a pretty unhealthy population.
We're a very unhealthy
and it's
population.
just getting worse and worse and
Yeah.
worse. If you look at the, incidence of disease, and then we're seeing adult diseases in children now, more and more.
Yeah.
I use the example, when I do little talks around the community of what we used to call adult onset diabetes. We don't call it adult onset diabetes because we see it so often in kids. Now we just call it type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
That
used to be a very specialized thing that was so unusual. And now it's just not.
Yeah, it's rampant.
Yeah. My pediatric friends are,
Yep.
What? They've been doing this for 25, 30 years. They see the changes. And they've had to do a lot more learning about it because it's not type 1 that's showing up in little itty bitty kids. It's type 2 in like teenagers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful, with getting RFK in there and who's the guy, new FDA, Hardy, can't think of his name right now, but him, and then, I'm drawing blank on all the names right now. Casey Means, a Surgeon General. We've got a lot of kind of functional medicine oriented people that are looking at the root cause and looking at, putting a stop to this escalation in disease incidence.
Yeah, I think it seems like there's going to be quite a lot of changes going on at the federal level, and remains to be seen if those trickle down to what it should be.
Yeah. Well, they're going to meet resistance, but at least somebody's making a big push to do the right thing. It's not a political issue. It's about doing the right thing for our kids, for our populace, as far as health is concerned. So I have my fingers crossed. I'm hopeful. I don't expect a lot, but I'm hopeful.
Somebody's got to have some positive vibes around here. Oh my God, Bob, such fun. Thank you guys for joining us. Dr. Robert Watson, my friend, ex-general surgeon, now functional medicine guru. Yeah. Go see him at Wellcentric if your shit isn't right. Good night, everybody.